Hi, my name is Dr. Jim Brosnan. I'm a turfgrass professor at the University of Tennessee. One of the things that our lab group gets tons of questions on every year is herbicide mixtures for POA control in bermudagrass fairways, particularly non-overseeded bermudagrass fairways. In this video, we're going to look at a number of different mixture treatments for POA control in a Tahoma 31 bermudagrass fairway setting. First treatment here is going to be a non-treated check. We can see our POA pressure here. All the POA is herbicide susceptible at this site, as it is the case with every trial at our research farm at the university. First treatment for a treated plot. Next to that check, as you can see in this area here, this is Katana mixed with Curb, 2.5 ounces of Katana and 2.5 pints of Curb SC T&O, standard that we've worked with for several years. This was applied at an early post-emergence timing, October 25th of 2023, and we can see here in the spring of 24, excellent control. So in our next treatment, what we've done is we've reduced our Katana rate to 1.5 ounces. That's not something that we would ever recommend be applied alone at that rate, but in a mixture, reducing that rate to 1.5 ounces. Here, we've flanked it with a Curb application, again at 2.5 pints, and we've added in now 1 pound active ingredient of Princep, and we can see that our control is excellent. Our next treatment, this is Katana at 2.5 ounces mixed with Benzimec at 9 fluid ounces per 1,000 square feet. Again, really excellent control. Here we have a 3-way mixture, Katana mixed with Benzimec. Benzimec is a residual herbicide to control emerging seedlings. And now we've added Princep into that combination, so we have 3 different modes of action, helping us from a control standpoint. Here, same concept, 3 different modes of action, but instead of Benzimec, we're using Barricade. So we have Katana at 1.5 ounces mixed with Barricade at 24 ounces mixed with Princep at 1 pound AI. Next treatment, we've got Katana at 2.5 ounces mixed with Spectacle Flow at 6 ounces. And again, that same Princep rate at 1 pound AI, really good control. Here, we've taken the Katana out, and now we're inserting Tribute Total in its place. So this is 1 ounce of Tribute Total mixed with Spectacle and then Princep. So our next treatment's a little interesting. One of the things that we've been working on as a lab group for a few years is the use of TriMet on bermudagrass fairways as a POA suppressant, let's call it. Here what we've done is we've taken Curb, we've mixed it with Katana, and then we've added TriMet into that mix as our 3-way combination. And our control here is excellent. Our next treatment is Katana Benzimec TriMet, again, keeping that 3-way structure, but using Benzimec now along with Katana and TriMet. So we've taken the Curb out. Our control continues to be excellent. Here we've got Katana Barricade and TriMet, so Katana for post-emergence control at 2.5 ounces. We have Barricade for residual, and then again, that TriMet piece to be additive. Now we've got some sequential applications. This is Katana Curb, that same standard treatment we looked at before, but now we're making 1 application in October, and then we're making another application in February of 2024 to provide, again, overlapping residual coverage, and things here look really strong. Our next treatment, so this is Katana mixed with Benzimec, 2 applications, 1 October 25th, and then a sequential application in springtime on February 6th. Control continuing to look good. Here we've got a Benzimec Curb application that went out in October, and then we've followed that up now on February 6th with an application of Katana and Glyphosate. We can see maybe some temporary delay in spring green up from our Glyphosate application in that springtime mixture. And then our final treatment here, controls really strong. Katana Curb applied October 25th, and then again a Katana Glyphosate application in springtime. Our glyphosate rate is 16 ounces, so a little bit on the lower side, but we do see some temporary delays in spring green up on the Tahoma. So we just finished looking at a number of different herbicide mixtures, and now we're going to look at several more. In this trial, the focus is going to be low rates of glyphosate added to standard POA control herbicides to see if the efficacy of those two products in mixture can be helpful for controlling POA in Tahoma 31 bermudagrass. So everything that we will look at in this test was sprayed on November 6th of 2023. And again, this test originated from golf course superintendent questions about adding low rates of Roundup to standard herbicide mixtures and herbicide mixture programs. So we wanted to put several of those into our trials for this year to see what the responses would look like. The first plot we can see is a non-treated check here. Again, really heavy POA pressure. We have some other winter annual broadleaf weeds intermixed with our POA, but again, determining the efficacy of these treatments, this is the level of pressure that we like. First spray treatment we'll look at, this is really straightforward. This is a single application of Roundup Pro at 5 fluid ounces per acre, again applied on November 6th. As we look at these here in late March of 2024, overall control probably pretty poor, which is not to be unexpected in that there's going to be little residual with a standalone application of Roundup made in November, particularly at a rate as low as 5 ounces. So our next treatment here, this is Barricade. This is a pre-emergence herbicide that's normally applied in September. In the plot that we're looking at, it's been applied November 6th at a later than recommended timing, and the results kind of align with that. We can see that from a pre-emergence standpoint, November 6th is far too late, and we have plenty of POA in this treated plot. So our next plot is interesting. We've taken the 5 ounces of Roundup, we've combined it now with our Barricade treatment, applied it on November 6th, and we get a wildly different response. Our control here is much, much better. The Roundup that's in that treatment was able to control any new seedlings, and then the Barricade can help us from a residual standpoint the rest of the way. This is an application of Spectacle at 6 fluid ounces per acre on November 6th. Again, this would not be a recommended timing, nothing that we would want to see go out as a standalone treatment. The results explain why. Now we've combined that Spectacle with Roundup Pro, so we've added 5 ounces of Roundup to that Spectacle application, and we get a nice uptick in control. By no means perfect, but certainly showing the additive nature of the Roundup spike. This is a SureGuard application applied November 6th. This would not be recommended. This is far too early for SureGuard to go out in a bermudagrass situation because we know it's injurious to green turf. Our control here from a POA front is really good, but we can see some delays in spring greenup of our Tahoma 31 from that application. We've mixed in the next treatment 5 ounces of Roundup with SureGuard. We don't really see an uptick in control adding that Roundup into the tank, and we still have that temporary setback in spring greenup from applying SureGuard at a non-optimal timing. Our next application here is Tower, applied alone on November 6th. Tower is an active ingredient we've done a lot of work with over the past probably 7 or 8 years here at UT. It has activity for post-emergence control of juvenile POA plants that are relatively small in size, and some residual to go along with it. Compared to our non-treated check, we can see certainly there's some control from this Tower alone. By no means perfect, but certainly a step in the right direction. Our next plot, this is Tower tank mixed with Roundup at that 5 ounce rate, again applied on November 6th. We have to look really closely here. Our POA control is actually improved from this, but we have a cohort of winter annual broadleaf weed species in this plot that kind of make the picture a little bit harder to see. Next application is an industry standard. So this is Princep applied at 32 ounces per acre on November 6th. We can see control here fairly high. We now take that Princep and we spike it with that Roundup Pro application. And again, control fairly high with the combination as well. This is Katana, another industry standard, a sulfonylurea group 2 herbicide. This is applied November 6th as a standalone. Probably not a time that we would recommend for a standalone sulfonylurea application, but in this trial it's performed fairly well at the 2.5 ounce rate. We add Roundup Pro to it now at 5 ounces. So this is Katana plus Roundup Pro, and again, excellent control. This is a herbicide a lot of golf course superintendents have asked about in recent months. This is Sencor. It's a single application of Sencor November 6th, applied at 10 ounces, and our control here is pretty strong. Here we're adding Roundup to that Sencor treatment. So this is Sencor plus 5 ounces of Roundup, very similar in terms of control to Sencor alone. This is a Curb application. Curb at 2.5 pints, again on November 6th. Really strong control of this herbicide susceptible POA in this plot. And then we have a combination, last but not least here, this is Curb at 2.5 pints mixed with Roundup Pro at 5 ounces. Not really adding much from a control standpoint here in a susceptible population, but a nice treatment nonetheless. Interestingly enough, what you see in the center of this plot, there's some broadleaf weeds that are kind of muddying the picture when we look at everything for POA control though. So for our last trial, we're going to take a look at Tower as a herbicide mixture component. It's not a herbicide that we would recommend being used as a standalone for POA control, but we've seen success looking at Tower in mixtures with other active ingredients, particularly when applied to juvenile plants at an early emergence timing. So, as is the case with every trial, our first plot is a non-treated check plot. You can see really good POA pressure here. We've got some chickweed pressure and other winter annual broadleaves in the plot, but what we're really looking for from a weed control assessment standpoint. And I should say that the POA is herbicide susceptible. First treatment we'll look at, so this is sequential applications of Tower. First application was made October 17th, and then a sequential application was made on December 4th. We time our applications using a POA emergence model that was developed at the University of Tennessee. We know through research that POA begins to emerge when the soil temperature at a 2-inch depth averages 66 or cooler for a 7-day window, and we have some moisture within that same 7-day window. That's a good guide for us on how to maximize the efficacy of a herbicide like Tower that has activity on juvenile plants, and we can see from the plot in front of us that sequential applications of Tower have done really well in this test. Next plot we'll look at, this is Freehand. Freehand is a granular herbicide, a mixture of Tower and then pendimethalin, the active that's in Pendulum Aquacat. This has gained a lot of popularity in the golf course industry, and particularly for use around bentgrass putting greens. Some are using it at interfaces between cool season and warm season turf, be that on rough, like a rough to fairway type interface. Really good treatment applied here October 17th, and it's done a great job from a control standpoint on this POA population. Here we have a single application of Tower. So this is just one application of Tower at 32 ounces applied on October 17th. You can see if you contrast this with the sequentials we looked at earlier, one application, not enough residual to give us the protection that we would hope for, but definitely additive when we compare it to our non-treated check plot. Next, we have a mixture of Tower with Curb. We have 32 ounces here of Tower mixed with 2.5 pints of Curb. Application was made once on October 17th, again in accordance with that emergence model, and our overall control is really strong. Here we have a mixture of Tower and Princep, so 32 ounces of each, 32 ounces of Tower and 32 ounces of Princep. Again, application made in accordance with that emergence model, and results are very strong. Here in the next plot, this is a mixture, industry standard comparison, if you will. So this is Spectacle, Flow, plus Tribute Total, plus Princep, with 5 ounces of Roundup added to that as a single application applied at that same timing in October. We can see that our control here is really strong from a POA standpoint. And then our final application, this is an application of Finale XL. That's active ingredient in that herbicide is glyphosate. This was applied when bermudagrass was fully dormant. The application here was made on February the 14th using a growing degree day based scale that's been researched by BASF and others over the past several years. We can see that our efficacy for POA control in this treatment is quite strong. As mentioned in other videos, there's a lot of different ways to build a mixture program for POA control in non-overseeded bermudagrass. This is just a look at everything we have out this year, and if there's anything that you might want to see tested next year, you can feel free to reach out to our team, and we're happy to try to work it in to our trials for the next POA season as best we can. Thanks for watching.